Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We've got a breakdown here from Heavy Spoilers, Avatar 2, The Way of Water, official trailer breakdown, Easter eggs, hidden details, and plot details. So, I was calling it The Way of the Water because to me, that just makes more English sense, but it's called The Way of Water.
Yes. I'm getting like Avatar Last Airbender feels.
I kept screwing up the last Star Wars one as well. What was that one called? The Last Jedi? Or not that
The
one.
Rise of Skywalker?
Right, I kept calling it The Rise of the Skywalker. And people were like, it's The Rise of Skywalker. There's no extra the. I'm like, all right, calm down.
All right,
Settle down. If you guys haven't already, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and pretty please vote this sucker up to let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. Way of the... Stupid joke, never mind.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and I'm blue dabba dee dabba die because Disney, they've just dropped the first trailer for Avatar 2. The original released all the way back in 2009, and the several sequels that we're getting on the film have remained a closely guarded secret since then. The movie was a box office phenomenon that's pretty much remained as the highest grossing film of all time for the 13 years since its release. Avengers Endgame managed to snatch the crown back from it, only for the inevitable to happen, and once more it regained its spot at the top. However, there hasn't really been that much hype for the sequels, and I have to admit that I wasn't really that interested. I think I'd probably only seen the first movie at the cinema when it released, and then maybe watched it once more at home. I always remembered it being kind of mid with a heavy reliance on 3D that lost its appeal once you removed that. However, I actually went back at the weekend and rewatched the film, and I have to say that I was wrong, and it definitely stands on its own 2 feet even without the technology behind it.
I have to watch that movie again. I watched it, I think, once in theaters, maybe twice, but more than likely just once.
I watched it once in the theaters, and I remember just being like, wow, I really enjoyed that. And then my brother-in-law was like, that's a piece of piss. I hate it. I was like, what?
I remember coming out of the theater really liking it, and there was a friend of ours there who was like, this is the greatest abomination to mankind. I was like, what? Are you crazy, dude? And then I watched it again, I'm like, it's all right. So I did watch it twice. Now I'm recalling, because this was years ago.
The movie really captivated me and wowed me throughout without needing to strap on massive glasses onto my already massive glasses. Now, I'm guessing a lot of you were in the same boat as me, where you hadn't watched the movie since its release, so if you need a quick catch-up, then the next part of the video is for you. I've left time codes below if you already know it and want to skip to the trailer stuff, but we start off in the far distant future of 2154. The world is almost a barren wasteland due to humanity using up all of Earth's natural resources, and it now looks like a night out in Glasgow. Early on we meet Jake Sully, an ex-marine who was left paralyzed after a combat mission in Venezuela went awry. Jake's brother was part of the Avatar program, which allowed someone to control a host body through their consciousness so that humans could interact with the locals on any planet they landed on by looking like them. However, Jake's brother died, and due to the Avatars taking genetic material from the person piloting them, they needed a match which came in the form of Jake, his twin brother's twin brother. Keep up, yeah? Anyway, along with the Resources Development Administration, or RDA for short, they headed out to the planet Pandora, attempting to obtain a special element called unobtainium, which, yeah, I forgot it was called that.
Yeah.
Attempting to obtain a special element called unobtainium, Jake, his friend Norm, and Dr. Grace attempted to integrate with the locals. On their first day in the wild, Jake was attacked by a beast called a Thanatar, and after he got lost in the jungle, he came across Neytiri, who saved his life. Neytiri was part of the Na'vi, who Jake was trying to integrate with, and though she was initially going to kill him, she ended up staying her hand after an omen from her god Iwa landed on her arrow. The Na'vi are very spiritual, and they believe that all life exists in an ecosystem where life is born, someone lives, and they go back to the ground to be reprocessed so that more life can come from them.
Yeah, makes
Typical
sense.
stuff that you tell a girl at college you fancy because you've seen her reading a book on camels once. Book on camels. Anyway, after taking him before her tribe, Neytiri was ordered to teach Jake their ways, and after training for 3 months, the pair fell in love. Now this group of Na'vi lived inside a giant tree which had a huge pile of unobtainium below it, and Jake was ordered to integrate with the Na'vi and convince them to lose.
He's like trying not to laugh as he tells the story a little bit. Every time he says unobtainium, he starts to giggle.
I think this is why my brother-in-law and probably, you know, some people were like, God, this is garbage. He was just like, God, the story, it's like, it's so trite.
Well, it's just Pocahontas.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unobtainium. However, Jake, Grace, I'm being serious. However, Jake, Grace, and Norm all knew they'd never abandon it because of their connection to nature, and when the RDA learned of this, they launched an attack on Home Tree. They ended up destroying it, and after Jake, Grace, and Norm tried to warn the Na'vi, they were arrested and held as traitors, like you, when you go watch a video from another channel. I know what you've been doing. I know you've been watching Looper. Anyway, with help from a pilot named Trudy, they escaped, but sadly Grace was shot and killed by the RDA security leader called Colonel Miles.
Just so you all know, on the back end side, if you're not a YouTuber, on the back end side, it actually shows you what your audience also watches. So when he says, I know you've been watching Looper, it's because a lot of his audience has been watching Looper.
Right.
By the way, with regards to the visual effects, like comparing this to the trailer we just watched, it's like, wow, there really is an upgrade between the two films. I mean, obviously it's been 13 years, but like, wow, we've come a ways.
Yeah.
Because that was very impressive back then.
That was amazing back then. I
Yeah.
remember watching it in the theater and was just blown away by how beautiful it was.
In order to show that he was truly one of them now, Jake managed to mind meld with a giant winged beast known as a Turok that only the legendary ancestors of the tribe had managed to tame. After finding the rest of the Navi at their sacred home, the Tree of Souls, they went out and gathered other tribes from the planet in order to have one final stand against the RDA. Attacking from the skies and ground, the Navi managed to push them into a retreat, and Jake went head to head with the Colonel. However, his real body was damaged in the battle, and after sending the humans packing, he ended up transferring his consciousness through the Tree of Souls into his avatar, which ended the film. Now, as for the Way of Water trailer, we open with the Flux Vortex and a group of the Navi running up routes that connect the floating platforms. In case you don't know, this area features a gravitational anomaly at it, and this was where the final battle took place in the first film. Due to the gravity being off kilter, it messed with the instruments used by the humans, and thus they were unable to utilize their radar. This explains later on why the avatars being used by the humans might ride on the native beasts of the planet instead of remaining in their ships whilst fighting the Navi. We do see more gravitational anomalies near the ocean areas, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Now at the front, you might also notice a human who pops up later in the trailer in the jungle. He ends up being pretty close to the Navi by the looks of it, and according to the wiki for the film, this is a character known as Javier Socorro. Though the RDA ended up fleeing the planet in the first film, there were clearly some humans left behind, and from what we know in the movie, Javier was born on Pandora. He is going to be rescued and adopted by Jake and Neytiri, who have several other children. We catch her pregnant in the first look, and they're going to have 3 kids called Netayam, Loak, and Tuktire. Moving on. Now the first 2 of these are sons, and the last one is a daughter. This is who I believe we see skipping along with Javier at the start, but it is a bit difficult to make out exactly who they are. We then cut to Neytiri moving through the jungle with the shadow of leaves brushing past her face. Now I know this film is kind of getting dunked on for having quote-unquote PS2 graphics, but I think it looks really good.
I think it looks really good too.
I watched this trailer for the first time before seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and to me it looks stunning on the big screen.
Yeah, I mean,
Cameron initially...
I didn't watch it on the big screen. I only watched it like here for you guys, and I thought it looked fantastic, and that was just HD.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine what it looks like in 4K on IMAX. I would go back to watch Doctor Strange in IMAX just to watch the trailer and then leave.
Right.
Because I've already seen Doctor Strange twice. So this whole having a child thing is very Battlestar Galactica to me. Because I'm like, wait, how is he having a baby with?
Because he's transferred to his consciousness.
I get that,
into
but
his avatar.
But that's it. You just said it. It's an avatar. It's not like. Where did that body come from? Isn't it synthesized? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's very Battlestar Galactica. Because in case you have no idea what I'm talking. Okay, so I never finished the show, but I remember there was this element to the show where there were these for lack of a better word, these cyborg humans who were mating with humans, and the cyborg human was able to get pregnant. I was like, what? That's when I stopped watching the show. I was just like, this is losing me. So
no. I'm
sure it got better, and I'm sure there's going to be comments immediately going, you got to finish it. I'm like, it's lost my interest.
Just announced this movie and one more sequel. However, he's gone on to announce several more movies on top of this one. So, like it or not, you're going to be getting lots of Avatar films. Now, the main reason for the hold-up in the second one's development was because that motion capture technology simply didn't work underwater. However, Cameron and Cove spent the last decade trying to develop the tech so that they can do it, and apparently they managed to find a way to bring this into the film. The whole movie will be centered around the Navi trying to find a new home, and looking at the cast list, we know that there will be several diver characters. This includes Ronal, who will be played by Kate Winslet. According to the wiki on the film, Ronal is a pivotal character, and not only did Winslet have to learn motion capture for the movie, she also had to learn free diving. Apparently Winslet managed to hold her breath for 7 minutes, which is a new world record for any scene shot underwater.
Wow.
Eat that, Tom Cruise. 7 minutes? How long was that? Tom Cruise's, I think, was 6 minutes. They should do a competition. Tom Cruise versus Kate Winslet.
I'm so impressed. That is like an incredible skill to master. I struggle with holding my breath for 1 minute underwater. 7 minutes. Wow.
I struggle to hold my breath underwater for 10 seconds. I just get like panicky. I'm like paranoid. What if this is it?
That's probably what you learn when you learn all these techniques.
Yeah, learn how to calm down.
Yeah.
Just like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Take that, Tom Cruise. You're bloody furious, aren't you?
You fucking
Now, on
said
top
it.
of that, there are 2 actors
You said
whose
it right after me.
characters seemingly died in the first film. Cameron has stated that Sigourney Weaver will be returning, however, she will be playing a new character rather than being Dr. Grace. I kinda have a feeling that she might be the voice of Awa, as Grace's character went into the tree when trying to transfer between her body and her avatar. There's also Stephen Lang, who's coming back, however, his character was killed at the end of the movie by Neytiri. Cameron stated that he wouldn't exactly say how they're bringing him back, but it is a science fiction story and that it'll tie in with that. The premise of the franchise in general is that humans have found a way to create bodies that they can plant their minds into, so I think they might end up resurrecting the character through the use of cloning. Hell, the version of Colonel Miles that we saw in the first film might have even been an avatar himself, and who knows, Miles might have been in his own pod controlling himself from the planet.
What?
Now, Cameron also said that his character will evolve into a really unexpected place across the upcoming films, and that though he will predominantly be an antagonist, we might even start to see things from the Navi's point of view. If he is a clone of something that's just being used by the RDA to conquer worlds, he'll be pretty stone cold, but their kinship with nature might open up his eyes to another side of life. Now, another interesting rumour floating around about the film is that they've managed to do not only underwater motion capture, but also 3D without the glasses. Remember your Nintendo 3DS? Well, it's that. It's that, but in a cinema, yeah, apparently. Which will be mental. It'll be bloody mental, won't it? Now, I think a lot of the first film's success was down to revolutionising 3D, and though Hollywood ran it into the ground, doing it this way would be absolutely incredible. Now, in the trailer, they're clearly playing out there's going to be way too much water, to the point IGN about to give this movie a 6. We catch them flying over the ocean to trees that have their roots pushing up so that they don't drown, and gorgeous beaches.
You know what I just realized? This is completely not relevant, but he said the word mental, and it made me realize that in English speak, England speak, Europe speak,
English slang, yeah.
you still get to use the word mental. That's like a
mental just means like crazy, like, oh my god, that's mental.
I always thought when y'all said mental, it was short for mentally retarded.
No.
Oh, it's mental. Like,
I mean, maybe, but like, no, in this case, it just means like, oh my god, so crazy.
Are you mental? Like, are you?
Yeah.
Like, are you sideways? Are you
crazy?
Okay, am I wrong? Okay, forget it. I'm mental.
There's also a lot of sea life, such as giant gentle whales,
Yeah.
and ones that resemble stingrays. Really nice looking imagery that, of course, mirrors our own world and the divers in it. Also, does anyone think the trailer song sounds like Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift? Say
Does
you'll
it?
remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset.
Oh.
Just me. Now, the free diver we see in this looks like they might be wearing a t-shirt, so this could be similar to Grace in the first film, and it might actually be a human in an avatar. It looks like the humans are still using the avatar strategy to blend in with the locals, as we see them constructing, or perhaps repairing a base. Hell's Gate was abandoned in the first film, but they might be back at the outpost as there's so much stuff there. There's a mech also walking along, as well as 2 avatar Navi. Now, I'm not 100% sure who this is, but Vin Diesel has been cast in an undisclosed role, and it looks like Javier and the rest of Jake's kids end up coming across them in the wilderness.
Except for shots like this in the jungle, oftentimes when I see humans and the Navi side by side, it looks a little goofy to me. Am I the only one? Like when I saw the construction shot just now, I was actually thinking when I watched the trailer as well, it looked a little bit funny, but you know, your brain, you start to forgive a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you just accept it.
You know,
I think.
when you're seeing so much dopeness, the goofy stuff, you let it slide.
Yeah.
And that was an element. And what reminded me of it was seeing Sigourney Weaver as a Navi for the first time. I thought that looked goofy as fuck the first time I saw it, and even now I'm like, it looks kind of weird. Sometimes, I mean, it's never going to be 100% perfect, but
yeah, I mean, and it's still like, you know, we're still getting the technology better and better, and what I really appreciate is just James Cameron's
determination.
Yeah, his determination to just make it work. It's like, oh, we've never done underwater motion capture, or it kind of sucks. He's like, well, I guess I'll just take 10 years to figure it out and make it really good.
Yeah, I just get really scared that this is going to have like its HBO spin-off show, and it's going to have like multiple shows before the 4th movie comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Is George R.R. Martining this stuff? It's like, damn, dude, how much longer?
This trailer is very much about family, and who better to have in the movie?
Oh my god.
They might have been sent in to broker a piece, though they do look like they're part of the military. Goddamn, guys, they just won that unobtainium. Now we then get a shot of the water beasts that the characters will be riding, and similar to the mountain banshees, they mind meld with them. There are more gravitational anomalies shown, and what looks like an attack on the human base led by Javier. The human avatar looks pretty annoyed by this, and we later see it flooding, making me think that they've also tried to set up shop in the oceans of the planet Pandora. We later see both the Navi and humans readying themselves for a water battle, so I'm guessing that's what's going to happen towards the end of the film. They aren't really giving much away, and it definitely feels like one of those trailers that could be misleading on purpose. Lots of beautiful visuals though, and I am interested to see the fight between the humans on the Navi side whilst we also have the humans disguised as the Na'vi fighting against them. Anyway, that's a trailer, a recap, and some tidbits about the film. I'm really excited to watch it, and though I've been kind of met on the franchise for over 10 years now, rewatching it this week did make me appreciate why it's done so well. I can't wait to see the movie when it releases at the end of the year, and this trailer really was a blast.
That was fun. I appreciated that. And
Yeah.
I definitely got some insight into the movie plot that I was not getting just from the trailer alone. This would be a good movie to go back and revisit, especially before the second one comes out.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember just the vague plot points, but even as he was giving the breakdown on the first movie, I was like, oh yeah. Like, so much happened.
Thanks so much for hanging out. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, please, all notifications, and pretty please vote this up to let YouTube know you enjoyed what you watched. I'm Jaby, Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.